Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RMTV Women's Podcast. This is episode 123. Amy, how are we today on this Wednesday lunchtime? It's usually Tuesday lunchtime, but it's Wednesday that we're filming on this week. How are we?
I know. I mean, it doesn't make that much difference. All days feel the same. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. And yourself?
All right. I was a bit delicate, but I'm okay now.
A bit of a nice on the old ale.
Yeah, a bit of not wise on a school night, but
you know, if you haven't got work, you've got to take the opportunities you get, don't you? That's the thing.
Exactly, it is what it is. Although the weather's not really giving me.
It's not summer vibes today, nor spring vibes. It's autumn vibes for me today.
Very autumn vibes. Very cold and wet and rainy.
It's like it's April showers, but 1 month early.
April showers bring May flowers.
I know. I can't wait. Like the tiny bit of sunshine we had the other week, my mood was immediately like elevated. It was crazy how like good I felt. Just like waking up to like nice sunshine, and then like on my lunch I'd just sit outside for a bit or like go for my walk in the sun, and then it died a dramatic death and now we're back to cloudy, miserable weather. So I can't wait for summer when it will be more consistently sunny.
Well, we'd like to think that, but this, it is England, so you never know what's gonna happen. But let's get into some football chat then. So the news that broke this morning was that Hege Riise has been appointed as the head coach for Team GB football ahead of this summer's Olympic Games in Tokyo. Obviously the Olympics are taking place between the 21st of July and the 7th of August, which I'm actually quite excited for the Olympics this year. I don't usually pay too much attention to it when it's been on in previous years, but I'm actually really looking forward to this year's one. I don't know if you feel the same.
It's just something to look for. It's just something different, isn't it?
Yeah,
it'll be good. I enjoy the Olympics every year, to be honest. My favourite part, not gonna lie, is definitely like the athletics and the swimming.
I love diving.
Yeah, diving is a good time as well. But I mean, we're obviously gonna watch the footy now as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Something to like, just something exciting that's a bit different, isn't it? Doesn't happen every year either, so.
Exactly, and obviously when there's always summer tournaments, like a lot of them are obviously for us, like mainly football based. So it's nice to have a little something different.
Variety.
Exactly. But yeah, it will be the first time Great Britain and Northern Ireland will be represented at the Olympics since London 2012. Obviously England's run in the 2019 Women's World Cup obviously allowed them to qualify and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, and obviously having that kind of manager set in place now for this, you can get the ball rolling in terms of squads. I mean, I'm sure she's already got, in her mind what she wants and stuff like that. But it's just nice to have a little bit of clarity heading into the summer games that, this is your manager, this is who's in charge, and then here's potentially what your squad could look like going into it. Because obviously she's had a couple of camps now she had the first camp and that went down well, and so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who's picked and how it happens.
I know, it's exciting. I think in the back of my mind I always kind of had that she was gonna be who was appointed, so like it's not like a massive shock.
No.
But at the same time I agree with what you're saying in terms of it's a little bit more clarity, and then it's been quite unstable for a while. Obviously Phil Neville announcing he wants to leave, then leaving early because he has the Inter Miami job, and then them trying to scramble and find someone in the short term to replace. I think ultimately Hege Riise won't be the long-term appointment. I think that's been quite obvious. But I mean, I think it just makes so much more sense. Why chop and change another manager around? Especially when you, as Sue Baroness Campbell says, or the other way around, Baroness Sue Campbell, whatever. Yeah, that's funny, wasn't it? She said like there's a lot of they want to do really well at the Olympics, for example. Like, obviously they missed out on the World Cup. This is the next major tournament since that. So there's a lot riding on it, and you want to limit the amount of chopping and changing as possible. So it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Sue Campbell said we could not have been more impressed with the impact that Hege Riise and Rianne Wilkinson have made in such a short space of time with England women, and then obviously particularly in the most recent February camp at St George's Park. So she said, I am in no doubt that the Olympic experience and management expertise will provide the squad with the best possible opportunities to succeed at the Tokyo Olympics. So yeah, it's obviously speaks highly of her and the impact that she's made in such a short period of time. On this squad and this group of players, for it to be obviously selected as Team GB manager, and obviously spoken so highly of from those in and around the camp as well. So fingers crossed, there's it's a nice squad, and we have a nice little tournament there.
I know. I think it'll cheer us all up, won't it? I'm interested to see who gets picked now. I think it's obviously going to be largely dominated by English players.
Mm-hmm.
But then you never know. Be great to see Fernie in there.
Yeah, that would
be great to see Caroline Weir in there.
Yeah,
Sophie Ingle. Yeah, the likes of all them. So it'll be super exciting.
She's definitely got a task on her hands trying to pick the 18 players. I would not want that role right now. That'd be way too tough. But be interesting. Be very interesting. Yeah, we'll move on to obviously Women's Championship is what we focus on mostly due to Liverpool women. But some scores from the weekend. Obviously Liverpool beat Crystal Palace 1-0 away from home. Niamh Fahey getting the only goal there. What a lovely little header.
Oh, what a good time that was.
Yeah, it was great. We couldn't watch live or anything like that, but we were refreshing Twitter like there was no tomorrow. Trying to keep up to date and keep you guys up to date on our socials as well. So yeah, it was very happy to see that Niamh got the goal. Charlton drew 1-1 with Lewis. Leicester beat London Bees 7-0.
Wow, that's a whopping, isn't it?
What a dominant score that is.
Did you see the goal from, who was it, Esme de Graaf? And she literally basically scores from the halfway line. It's that far out. It's so far. It's such a good strike. It just goes in.
Yeah,
the keeper probably should have saved it, like, if it's that far out. But, it was a great, honestly, great goal. Honestly, if no one's seen it yet, definitely go watch that. It's all over the Leicester City social media, so you'll find it.
Yeah, you won't miss it. Blackburn got beat by Durham 2-0, and Coventry United beat London City 1-0. So looking at...
It's a big win for Coventry, that.
Yeah, it is a good win for Coventry, very good win. But looking at the scores there, obviously Leicester beating London Bees 7-0, Durham winning. You're looking at the table now, it's pretty much a 2-horse race between Leicester and Durham as to who's going to go and get promoted into the WSL next season. If you had to put your money on one of them now, who would you go for?
Durham.
Would you?
Yeah.
What, any particular reason why?
I just think as a whole well-rounded team, the way that they've played against us, and they've just been absolutely phenomenal. When you look at it, they're very, very, very similar. I think obviously Leicester score more goals, a lot more goals actually, and they're one match behind. So Leicester City could then pull out a worldie and be 3 points ahead of Durham by the time that next game comes around, and it all evens out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've just thought Durham from the very beginning.
You have said that quite this season.
Yeah, I think I just hate playing against them. And that's why I know that they're a good team if you hate playing against them, because they always manage to grind out a result. I think we've not played our best when we've played against them, which is probably why it looks obviously a lot better. But I genuinely think either of those teams deserve to go up. I think obviously Leicester going full time next season, I'm pretty sure. I think you'll find a lot of teams, even that are in the Championship, I think will go professional next season if they can afford it and they have large male teams like beside them, which will make it more challenging for us once again, which will be absolutely brilliant. Welcome. But yeah, it's really tough to call. I think we all knew from the start of the season this was going to be a really, really tight title race, regardless of who was at the top. There's 4 teams, us included, that could have won it, and there's still 2 of them right at the top of the table fighting for it. And I mean, it's interesting that Leicester and Durham are both on the same points, 38, and us and Sheffield are both on the same points, 28. So it's really weird. I just hope we, from like a Liverpool perspective, to bring it back, like we just push these teams as far as we possibly can, and literally just put ourselves in the best position for next season, because next season, if we thought this season was tough, next season is going to be even tougher, and that's probably the harsh reality of the situation. But yeah, I don't know, who do you think is going to go up? Who do you think is going to get demoted as well? That's another question.
Yeah, I think personally for me, I get what you're saying about Durham. I understand that they are that team that when you're playing them, you think, oh, Durham, like this is going to be tough. They've done really, really well this season. I think they've been really consistent in being in the top half of the table for a couple of seasons now, and they probably do deserve to go up just because of how consistent they have been over several seasons. But I kind of just think the mentality at Leicester is really good as well.
Yeah.
Like you, Steve, they obviously did a lot of business in the summer.
Or in WSL players.
Yeah, there's some really good business from them, and they've obviously just really stepped up the game this season. And then I think they will be looking at themselves now and thinking, well, we sit at the top. We're kind of in control here. Like it just doesn't.
The game in hand as well.
Yeah, like it just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't kind of slip for them now. I feel like they're just so set in their goals.
It's still very close. Very close.
Oh, it's still very close. I mean, they could go and lose the rest of the season, both teams, and there'd be a dramatic win for someone else. You know what I mean? But yeah, for me personally, I can't look past Leicester. I don't know what it is. I just have a feeling that it's just going to be Leicester.
I think either of them could do it.
Yeah.
It's been such a competitive championship season, probably the most in a while.
Yeah.
And obviously with Liverpool being within that mix, and everyone, like, we were the team that had the target on our back, really. And I think that's probably made everyone else step up that little bit more, because anything is up for grabs. I hate to bring it back to our disappointment for not being within that title race still, but it does hurt a little bit when you talk about these teams that have just absolutely outshone and dominated at the top of the table.
Yeah.
And we're kind of sat there in 4th place after being the team that was in the WSL. So it's tough. But I mean, you just got to keep going, haven't you? Who knows what's going to happen next season? Who knows who's going to come down? Is it going to be West Ham? Is it going to be Bristol? It's close at the bottom of the WSL as well.
Yeah, it really is. It's been a very weird season.
It has.
You kind of think that maybe the expectations that weren't there for maybe like a Leicester at the beginning of the season has helped them be where they are now, because it's kind of just
like an underdog.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think maybe the expectation weighed too heavily on Liverpool at times this season, and maybe the likes of like a Durham or a Leicester or another team has benefited from that at times.
Yeah, I think that's probably a big part of it, the mentality side. Not a lot of, I don't know. I was gonna say then not a lot of Liverpool players will have been in that situation before, but when you look at the majority of our team, they were in that Doncaster side who won the championship but ended up not being promoted. That's why they joined us. So there are people that have been in that situation before. It's super tough. But I mean, if you put our loyalties to Liverpool aside and you just sit there and you go, wow, what a like race to promotion this has been right from the get-go. It's been full on. It's such a good like showcase for the championship, and probably what it needed to sort of close that gap. I mean, when you look at the bottom of the table, Leicester City are on 38 and London Bees are on 8. That's a huge gap. And there's a huge sort of gap from the top 4 or 5 and then below. I think the next step is to narrow that gap, and then it becomes even more competitive, and that's, I think, the right direction that it needs to go in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there will be changes, like you said earlier, that there will be a lot of teams going professionally, and more money being pumped into them clubs, and it'll take time for them to sort of adjust to those. But I think, next season's just going to be even more difficult in terms of the race for the number 1 spot and getting that promotion to the WSL, because at the end of the day, it's only one team that goes up, and that's
exactly. And hopefully we can be in the stands for it. That'd be nice.
Fingers crossed.
I think a lot of teams have suffered from that silently. I mean, I know a lot of people go, oh, well, you don't get that many people at women's footy anyways, but it doesn't matter. Like, because there's so little people, if there's only 5 of you and you're chanting, the team's going to hear it. Do you know what I mean? So it does make that difference. It's affected everyone, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just hope next season, from a Liverpool perspective, we can go in and back them from actually physically being there. I think that would be a massive part of it.
Absolutely. We'll move on then. A story that I seen that was reported last night from the Telegraph. Didn't see it till this morning, but the Telegraph released an article by Jeremy Wilson stating that women and girls are at a doubled risk of suffering brain injuries in football and rugby, so a couple of women's sports in general, despite playing to exactly the same rules as men. So obviously that's been a huge talking point for sports in general over the last couple of years. I think the whole issue with head injuries and how it can affect athletes later on in life and stuff like that. There's evidence that raises questions of sports governing bodies and like concussion protocols and all stuff like that. And it was actually discussed in Parliament as well, and they were told that men were often being prioritised in the provision of medical care, and that there was an absence of research in women's sport, which you can kind of almost get behind in terms of, it's reported a lot about the effects of head injuries in men's football. That's what I've seen personally a lot more over the last couple of months and whatnot, but you never really hear them talking about, well, what about the head injuries in women's sports as well? Football and rugby are the 2 main ones where you're gonna, get a head injury from, and it hasn't really been raised hasn't really been questions about it, which is wrong, really, because it's like the saying, they're playing the exact same rules. Yeah, it's the exact same rules as the men, so why are they not, being considered in this talk or discussion about it all?
Yeah, it's eye-opening, that one. I mean, I think even the 2 of us out here, we haven't really thought about it that much. I mean, we've talked previously a lot about other types of injuries in the women's game and that need for research, especially like knee injuries, etc., coming back from maternity, blah blah blah. We've talked about those kind of things before, but I've never really thought about that. But it's interesting that the risk of things like the concussion is so much higher in women and men, and that it sounds like that's being attributed to the fact that the protocols aren't as present in the women's game. I don't know whether that's how you would sort of sum it up. But I mean, as everything, like with the whole ACL thing, for example, what happened was that issue was highlighted. There were facts and figures about the women that were getting it, how many, what often, links to the menstrual cycle, links to fatigue, links to training methods, etc. That issue was then highlighted, and then how much research came off the back of that. So much. Everywhere you looked, there was different articles coming out about the training methods, the ways you can reduce it, etc. So maybe that's what's going to happen with this. The issue has now been highlighted, and then I guess the knock-on effect is that you hope that loads of research will go into it, or questions will be asked in the right places to then stamp down on it and then come up with the solution on how we can reduce this, because it's putting female athletes at risk ultimately, and that's what needs to be addressed. And then if there are specific ways that people can go about this, or ways sport governing bodies can then put something in place to reduce that risk, you would assume that would then happen, and you would hope that would happen. But I guess each one of these things is about highlighting the issue, and it's not the first time we've seen things like this either. So it's definitely worth like raising it, but it's really interesting to see. It's like, yeah, it's weird. You just would hope that more research goes into it.
Yeah, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there in terms of like, unless something's brought to someone's attention, then it's not going to be
You don't know then, do you? You don't know it exists.
Yeah, it's not going to be at the forefront of your mind. So now that it's been highlighted in Parliament, and to those people that need it to be highlighted too, I think there will be now an increase in, further medical assessments of it all, and protocols put in place, and just things being put in place that need to be done in order to protect the players in the future. But
yeah,
like on the other hand, it's like, well, how you can't stop heading in the game. It's just physically not possible to do it. Like,
yeah, it's probably more
the behind the scenes things of it, like just reducing the risk, maybe in training and whatnot, or lighter balls, things that can just help in the future maybe. But it's a big process that's going to need time to sort of come to a conclusion for, I think.
Oh, for sure. With any of these things, like, there's no one solution. It's like there's loads of different elements that come into it. But obviously, if women are 2 times more likely to suffer long-term brain injuries from it, that's obviously something that needs to be addressed, and you would hope that it does get addressed in the right way.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah, it will. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see anyone turning their backs on this now.
No, it's obviously been highlighted as an issue, and then someone has to then follow that up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's everything we've got on today's agenda. I feel like that went really quickly. I feel like we had a really good season, but it did go quickly. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of like a refreshing topic to talk about, other than just like solely match analysis focused.
I mean, also Liverpool women haven't appointed a new manager yet, so we're still waiting on that.
But we did win a game of football, so I'm very happy about that.
Very happy about that.
Very happy. Yeah, consistency is key, so hopefully we can finish this season strong.
Fingers crossed. I have faith. We go again. Get knocked down, get back up again. There we go.
We move.
There's a song in that.
Yeah, there is, but we're not going to sing it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe to our channel, so you don't miss any new videos coming up. We do have a video going out. We think it'll be Friday, where we ranked some female footballers, gave our opinions on status we give them. So yeah, keep your eyes.
It was hard. It was difficult.
Hard. Very hard. We did waffle for half an hour and trying to decide.
There's been a lot of cutting and editing. I'm not gonna lie.
But it was really nice video to film. It was very interesting. So we might cause a little bit of arguments in the comments, but
I hope not. It's only a bit of fun, eh?
I hope not. But we'll see. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that, and then obviously we'll have all match reaction from Liverpool's game on Sunday as well. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of those videos. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time with a new podcast.
Bye.